Okay, again, welcome everyone. So this month we are going to discuss the book, or I should say booklet, Secrets of Friendship. And Swami Kriyananda wrote several secrets booklets, and they have a little saying, a little bit of advice, something that you can do each day. I believe that these booklets are out of print, so we'll share a little bit from the booklet that we'll be talking about today. We'll just post that in the chat. And we're going to speak on this topic, the secret of friendship. So this booklet has the secret of friendship is, and then certain little sayings. And we chose this because it's important to be friends with all of life and friends with all. And that's a very important spiritual attitude. It's, Master was speaking actually of business, I think, but he said that if you live in a village with 1,000 people, that you could have 99 enemies, or you can have 999 enemies, 999 friends. And which would you rather have? And of course, it kind of makes it easier in that way if you visualize living in a village with 1,000 people. Most of us live in big crowded cities where there's so many people that apparently you could just do anything you want to most of the people. You'll never see them again. They'll never see you. What does it matter? And that's how most people act, but it does matter. It matters to the other people, how we treat them, of course. Interestingly, though, even more than that, it matters to us because we have to live with our own selves. And if we put out negative energy, that it seems that the entire world is against us and is not our friend and is evil and angry and bad, filled with bad people. But there's other people who have the attitude that this world is a good place and that they seem to attract friends wherever they go, and they have a harmonious nature and they see goodness and it's reflected. So I see something in the chat there that someone can't hear me. I hope everybody else can hear me. Otherwise, you guys can just go crazy in the chat there and let me know. So let me read this first secret and then we'll say a little bit. It's actually not the first secret. Vineet's going to talk about the first secret. I'm going to talk about secret number 3. So the secret of friendship is demanding nothing of others, but acting and reacting in a spirit of freedom. I'll read it again. The secret of friendship is demanding nothing of others, but acting and reacting in a spirit of freedom. Master said that friendship is the highest of all of the different relationships. That, of course, there are the mother-son relationship, or daughter-father, whatever, brother, all of these relationships. But all of those, there's a certain compulsion in them. I mean, we just love our mother. That's just normal. But not everybody loves their brother, let's say. But you sort of have to, that you grow up in the same family, you see each other every day, you are kind of forced to. But in friendship, there's no compulsion. And this is why Master said that it's the highest of all of the different relationships that we have as human beings. Of course, I'm not talking about the guru discipleship relationship right now. That's of a different order altogether. But the point here is that there's no compulsion, and that it's a beautiful thing to respect the free will of other human beings and simply accept them as they are and let them grow into who they are. I was watching a satsang of Jyotish Devi Ji last night before going to bed. And as I was watching that Jyotish was just speaking about each soul having its own particular journey. And somehow that just made me realize that we all have different lessons to learn, and not each soul learns them all in the same order. So one soul might have a glaring defect that almost everybody else has figured out many incarnations ago, yet he's here on the spiritual path with us. And we simply have to accept that he's going to figure that out as he figures it out, when he figures it out. Actually, it's a principle of mine. I don't always follow it. I'm not yet a perfect being, but to not give advice unless people ask for it. Even though it might be just so clear to me that this person needs X, Y, Z, and it might be clear to the rest of the world. I just wait, that there's no compulsion there, that there's just respecting other people's free will, respecting the fact that each flower is going to unfold in its own way, in its own time, and that there's a certain beauty in that. And loving that beauty, how all of our lives come together like a tapestry where each thread meets the other one for a little bit in time and then goes on. And but that meeting point that it needs to be, and it can be from our side, full of love, full of respect, and just this energy that wants to give. I think that keeping friendships over a long period of time comes when we give and give. Here's a point of just probably stupid philosophy, but that I just can't help myself. I've been thinking about the last few days that galaxies, that they expand and they expand and they expand. Right now, science just thinks that's all they do. I assume at some point they contract, but who knows? And the cells in our human body, that they also get further and further apart. Interestingly, that's why Master told Rajarsi that he needed to wear his bangle, that as the cells in his body were getting further and further apart, that on some level, I guess, maybe he would have less magnetism. I'm not sure about that, but he told him to wear his bangle for that. Anyways, it seems to me also, as we get older and older, that friends, they seem to get further and further apart. When you're young and you're in school, it seems that you're just going to be with these people forever. And when maybe you're 70 years old, that the same people that you went to school with, maybe if you've put energy into maintaining one of those friendships, that it will still be there. But the whole point of all of this philosophy is that you have to give and you have to give in order to maintain that friendship. And it takes a lot of energy to continuously give in a loving, respectful manner. But this is all for us to be able to have the highest relationship of all, the highest friendship, of course, with God, with the guru. But so often we think that, oh, now I have a guru, I'm set, he'll just give to me. How many come to the guru and say, what can I give you? That I want to, in a loving, respectful manner, see how much that I can give you. Very few come that way, but I think that it's important for us to have that attitude. The next secret that I'll read here, the secret of friendship is, this is number 5, the secret of friendship is being more interested in listening to others than in getting them to listen to you. And again, this goes right back to giving and giving our time, giving our ears, you could say, and our heart. And it's a wonderful thing on the spiritual path to decide that you'll become a good listener. That most of the people that I have the deepest spiritual respect for, that when we have a conversation, that if they want, they can just sit there and listen the entire time. It doesn't mean that they won't give back energy, but that they're highly sensitive as to when is the right time to give their opinion. And of course, the most spiritual people don't really have an opinion. That they don't think of themselves as important or of knowing anything, or that they have to add something important. There's a saying in monasteries that don't say anything, just let it be silent, unless you have something that can improve the silence. And it's also like that in a conversation, that if you have something that can improve the conversation and that can give to that friend, and that friend is in that receptive mode and wants to hear that particular thing, then it works. I guess you could probably buy a book on the art of conversation and how to be a good conversationalist. But one thing that I love so much about Swamiji is he didn't, I don't think, study a book on that. but he simply knew how to be a good friend. He simply knew how to listen to God in each person and how to tune into that aspect of God in each person. That I really feel that Swami Kriyananda, when each person came to him, that he felt his master was within them. And that in that way, he was trying to serve master in each person, that he was trying to give to master, that he was trying to love master. And yet that was a very impersonal thing, that he wasn't trying to make all of these very personal relationships with each person. I'm already off track on all of the different 1, 2, 3, 4s, but I feel that it's also very important in friendship to strike a balance between making the relationship too personal or too impersonal. There's another saying that familiarity breeds contempt. This is the hardest part of our family relationships, that they're forced to be personal, but then because they're over personal, that they usually have some difficulty. And words like, you always do X, Y, Z. Well, no human being always does anything. Always implies eternity. And human beings are changing all of the time, but also human beings have habit patterns that might take incarnations to change. But to say that anyone's going to do something always, it's not really true. And it's that, but when you see somebody do it for 20 years, well, of course you feel that way. And that's why familiarity breeds contempt. And if we can draw back from that, Devarshi Ji said something the other day, maybe your father was your wife in a past incarnation. And it just, what? Okay. But when you start thinking like that, that you realize that you have to have some impersonality in all relationships, because at some point we came into this world alone, we will leave this world alone. And that if we can just love God in everyone, then it just makes all of this smooth. There's another thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately, and that is, you don't have to memorize 100,000 rules on how to be spiritual if you just love God. You just say, okay, I have one rule. I'm going to love God. And somehow all this philosophy, all these different rules, how do you make this thing work in life, that thing, somehow it just magically works. You just kind of feel, am I loving right now? And am I loving God in this person? And do I feel God's love coming back from this person? That's an interesting thing also, because even if the person is all messed up, that somewhere God's in there doing all these crazy things. And that if we can learn to just not react in a personal, emotional way, then it works out. That first one that I read, it said the secret of friendship is demanding nothing of others, but acting and reacting in a spirit of freedom. And when I first saw that word reacting in a spirit of freedom, I thought, why did Swamiji write reacting? He's always telling us not to react in these emotional ways. But I think Swamiji was just conveying there that there's time to take energy, and then there's time to listen to what the other person was saying, or even on a more sensitive level, listen to the other person's energy and then give back that energy as well. And he said, reacting in a spirit of freedom. I think that's just another way of saying in an impersonal way, in a non-attached way, that simply lets everything be what it will be. I could talk on, but my time is over. It's a joy to be here with all of you. So I will hand everything over now to Brahmachari Vinny. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamal. Jamal was sharing about listening to your friend, and so I made it a rule while Jamal was sharing to just listen to him and not think what I'm going to speak going forward. But still, I'm prepared to speak. I'm just how many times when in a conversation we are talking to our friend, the mind is usually not listening to the other person. It's usually like, now I'm going to say this, or this is my thought. And it takes a bit of effort, which I realized while I was doing this right now, that it's not just enough to say what I want to say, but how do I listen and then respond to my friend? It takes a bit of practice, apparently, and we all learn techniques and tools to become better friends. I'd been reflecting on the topic of friendship, which is this month, which we'll be focusing on. And of course, like Jamal said, it's based on the book Secrets of Friendship, which Swamiji wrote. And I wanted to read something which Swamiji had written in this context. He had written many secrets books, secrets of life, secrets of friendship, secrets of love, whatever important in life, he's written secrets about it. Let's just say, put it that way. And at one point, he was compiling different secrets to make it something like Secrets of Life for a particular publisher. And in that context, he wrote this. My purpose in writing this book was to help the reader become a co-author with me. It wasn't written with the thought of shuffling my experiences and thoughts or merely of presenting other people's quotations. It's written in such a way as to give you something to meditate on, something to make your own. I haven't explained the seed thoughts at length because the book asks you to explain each one to yourself by living it, pondering it, looking back over your own experiences. So, and this is a beautiful thing. Everything that Swamiji wrote, whether it be a sentence, a paragraph, each one, or even Paramhans Yogananda ji, each line, if you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it takes you to infinity. No matter which quote it is, no matter which book it is. And this is a new way, you might say, of approaching God. When Paramhans Yogananda ji asked Swami Kriyananda to write books, he said, Swamiji asked him, but haven't you written all the books that could possibly be written? And he said, don't say that. Much more needs to be, I think, written or done. I'm paraphrasing over there, but much more is needed. And Swamiji took that basic central principle and he gave it an allegory of, like a cycle wheel or a wheel where it has the center and from where different spokes come out. So the central aspect of everything is, how do we increase our consciousness, raise our consciousness, and take our steps towards God. And similarly, now coming to friendship, the main important principle of any spiritual path, for that matter, is to dissolve the ego, surrender the ego, expand the ego. And friendship is one such beautiful way where we are capable of, when we serve our friend, when we see what is good for my friend, when we help our friends, when we have that divine friendship, slowly, even the most self-involved person, when he engages in this beautiful, harmonious, friendly relationship, he finds his friendship resulting in an expansion of ego and consciousness. So with that, I would like to read the first secret from this book, Secrets of Friendship. And Swamiji writes, friendship is important. Oops, sorry. Yeah, he says, the secret of friendship is exercising discrimination in your choice of friends, preferring sincerity over praise and loyalty over friendly smiles. I just wanted to highlight the words exercising discrimination in the choice of our friends, and then preferring sincerity over praise and loyalty over friendly smiles. In a way of re-emphasizing, I basically read the whole quote, which is funny because the whole thing is very important. But exercising discrimination, it is very, very, very important. Like Jamal was saying, in familial relationships, there's a compulsion, but in friends, we get to choose them. And Paramhans Yogananda often said, environment is stronger than willpower. And it is extremely crucial that we select the right friends. I've heard Dhyanaji often quote about satsang and how important it is to have right company. And she says, if you're having a bad day, and if you tell, a friend who's not necessarily a spiritual friend, or your colleague, and you tell, oh, I'm having this bad day, and this thing went wrong, and that thing went wrong. And if you tell it to this other person whom we call our friend, he would add it to the misery, saying, oh, tell me about it, and then this went bad in my life, and that went bad, and this is happening, and this world is such a terrible place to be in. And then friendship shouldn't be something where we bog down our consciousness, where actually we aspire and help each other to raise our consciousness. And this is what happened actually in my life with one of my spiritual friends. This is when I was practicing my chartered accountancy, and I had a job, and it was a high pressure time, and people were suddenly inclined to be disharmonious with each other, just being nasty and rude to each other. And for lack of experience, my reactive process was not at its calmest, you might say. It was very reactive, very volatile. And someone said something to me, and I was just full of flames. In fact, if someone would have kept petrol near me, it would have just caught fire. It was just, I was fuming with anger, literally. And the moment I stepped out of my office, I knew that I'm going to go talk to this friend of mine who's my Guru Bhai. But my intention was not for spiritual company. My intention was like, I am going to complain about all these bad people who don't know how important it is to be, kind to each other. And on the other hand, mentally, I was being unkind. Well, doesn't matter when you're unkind, but others shouldn't be unkind. But anyways, I was going to meet this friend of mine and tell how bad this world is. I walked into his house, he saw me, and he basically walked out of the room, and I was like, huh? I mean, here I am walking into his house, and somehow he probably sensed that something was wrong with me. And then I walked with him to the other room, and I told him, I just had a very difficult day at my office, and it's just terrible. And then he walked again to the other room, and this time when he went, he actually with him got a harmonium, and he said, there's no point talking about it. Let's just sit, chant, and meditate. I said, okay, perhaps after that I can complain, I hoped. But I sat down, we chanted one chant, two chants, three chants. After that, I don't even remember, or I didn't even remember what my problems were. And that is where exercising discrimination and choosing the right friends takes, it's very, very important, because I would have gone to a different friend who may not have been my Guru Bhai, and I would have spoken with them for 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, or spent the whole week talking about how bad this world is. And would it have led to anything fruitful or good? I don't think so. So again, I'll read that and emphasize that exercising discrimination in your choice of friends, preferring sincerity over praise, and loyalty over friendly smiles. This friend of mine didn't give me a friendly smile, but he was loyal. He wanted to raise my consciousness. He wanted to help me in my quest to be a better person. And that is what we are looking for. Now, that doesn't mean in an act of being sincere friends, we start finding loopholes in our friends and telling them that this is wrong with you and that is wrong with you. And that's where Jamal said, don't give advice unless really asked for. And in fact, even when asked for, be very sensitive. Is that really what they want? Jayaji often, when people go to him for advice, he starts the conversation saying, now, do you want me to be your friend, just giving you support, listening to you, or do you want me to advise you? They are two different things. I can listen to you, support you, and but not advise you, and just be a good listener. But if you need advice, if you need sincere advice, I'm happy to give that also. But they are two different things. And it's very important to be sensitive to our friends, even sometimes when they may say so, oh, just tell me what's wrong with me, and I'm happy to change it. The next thing you know, you've given them 10 bullet points, and they were like bullets in his heart, and maybe the friendship has changed forever. So be sensitive. And with that, actually, I would move on to the next secret of friendship, which is The secret of friendship is including other people's happiness in your own. Let me read that again. The secret of friendship is including other people's happiness in your own, meaning in your own happiness. I'll actually share about this with a funny story, which happens very frequently at our monastery. And that is whenever we sit down to eat together, which is quite frequently, the beginning portion of the meal, the group meal, this big pot, it gets over very quickly. It in no time it just disappears. But then the last few spoons of the meal go really, really slowly. And sometimes we end up wasting food, even though there are a few people who are probably, they could eat it. And it's just like, the mental thought is when I'm serving, oh, but what if the person after me would like to have food and there's no food over there? So, oh, okay, fine. And there's always enough, but it's not like, we are hungry or whatever, but still that, oh, this chocolate cake, I don't want to finish the last bite. I've had enough, even though I love the chocolate cake, even though I love this, cookie, but I don't want to finish it. Maybe someone would enjoy it more than me. And it's a funny thing that, food gets left over because of that. But in our conscious thought, are we thinking in terms of what am I getting out of this? Or what am I giving? What am I letting go? In one of the techniques for ego transcendence, which Swami Kriyanandaji has written in his book Sadhu Beware, he says that if you like something, if you find something really beautiful, instead of saying, oh no, it's not spiritual to buy this thing or it's so unspiritual, he said instead, buy it, get the pleasure of owning it, and then gift it to a friend. And he shares the story when he was a monk at Self-Realization Fellowship, his guru's ashram. He barely had a stipend of $20, which was, I mean, it had some value back then, but it wasn't much. And he found a beautiful sculpture, I think, of Divine Mother, and it was for $16, and his monthly stipend was $20, and he loved it so much. But he still thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice? He bought it, and then he gifted it to his friend. And then he said, well, I had the privilege of enjoying that purchase, but then at the same time, I also had the joy of sharing it with my friend. He wasn't seeing of, oh, this is for me, and this is my 90% of my income, whatever I get. I don't want to share this. I barely have anything. Even in that, he was looking at sharing. With that, I will read the last secret of friendship, which I was intending to read for today, which was the secret of friendship is realizing that to have friends, one must be a friend first, making friendship, therefore, a life priority. And you will find that the more we try to be friendly and helpful, just like there's this beautiful line, to those of you who must have joined earlier, there was a music playing which was from Swamiji's song Life is a Dream. And in that song, Life is a Dream, there are these words which says, sometimes a friend helps us ascend up from life's cares to the sky. And similarly, let's not think in terms of who's that friend. I'm in trouble. I'm looking for that friend who can lift me. But see who is that friend whom you can lift up, whom you can help. And you will find that one way or the other, God, in the form of one friend or the other, will come to your rescue. So, with that, let's just really, really experiment over this 1 week. We have shared with you in your chat the first 7 secrets of friendship. Try to take one of them. You could, Swamiji had written 31 for each day. If you want, you can try one each day, affirm them, or you can just take one in whatever order you want, go really deep in it, practice it in your life, see and experiment with this beautiful secrets of friendship which Swami Kriyanandaji gave us. And I would like to actually now end with a quote of Paramahansa Yogananda. Paramahansa Yoganandaji said, friendship is the most rewarding human experience because it is a free gift without any compulsion. So let's give this free gift to all whom you know. Joy to you.